Everybody, welcome back to the Theosophy. Got 3 more questions, and I'm going to jump right in. Or 4 more questions this time. Question number 1. Do you think bee therapy works? I think bee therapy, which is to say the therapy by which people are stung by bees, actually has a lot of promise. Pretty much what it does is it's very effective against a lot of autoimmune diseases because it causes the body to produce a lot more killer T cells and other lymphocytes, and it sort of, for lack of a better word, it resets the immune system so that its response to certain stimuli is changed, which if you have an autoimmune problem, it can mean it can be fixed. Now here's the caveat though, and here's where people I think need to be careful. 1, it's not a silver bullet, and 2, and this is the more important bit, a lot of people tend to think it's kind of like a peanut allergy. You get stung by a bee, and if you're allergic, you die, and if you're not, you don't. But actually, bee allergies can just sort of happen any time. Prolonged exposure actually increases the odds. There are plenty of beekeepers who just, one day develop an allergy. So if you are willing to make such a drastic attempt to reclaim your health if you have some sort of autoimmune problem, that's fine. But be sure to have an EpiPen. Be sure to take every precaution, because just because you've been stung by a bee and not had an allergic response doesn't mean that the next time you go that you won't. And that's very, very dangerous, bearing that in mind. Let's see. Next question. Thoughts on Esperanto? I don't see the point. Why do we need one language? 1, that's my first issue. And 2, just learn Latin if you're that fixated on a universal language. I mean, it's the language of science and medicine, so to me that makes more sense than Esperanto. That's all I got on that one. Next question. You mentioned crops that you recommend, but what about trees? Well, trees are a long-term investment. It takes years to benefit from trees. That being said, some trees are just really productive, and some trees are self-pollinizing, and those are the ones I'm most inclined to recommend. Peaches or nectarines. I prefer peaches, but whatever. Nectarines, they're the same thing, by the way. Nectarines are just hairless peaches. They're self-pollinizing, and yes, that is a word, not pollinating, pollinizing. And let's see. Apples and pears are good, but apples are very complicated when it comes to picking the right one for pollination. Grapevines are pretty easy to grow, but grapes have a pretty short shelf life, so unless you plan on making wine or vinegar, or jelly. I always forget about jelly, even though that's really what I'm prone to make with it. But yeah, for me, peaches is the big one. But it also depends on your climate. But yeah, trees are a long-term thing. Just remember that. Trees, if you want an orchard, I'm all for orchards. I love orchards, but it's not the same thing as growing beets. You are literally playing a 5 to 10 year game there, rather than a 5-month game. Well, less than that with beets, actually. Next question. Oh, actually, before I go to the next one, also walnuts, they chemically sort of like sterilize other orchard trees, but if you want like a very productive and high cost but low work kind of tree, walnuts are great for that. So just remember not to put them next to anything. You mentioned that you have sort of a Japanese pantry. What foods do you have that you make use of? Let's see, I almost always in my pantry have, and I'll also mention the fridge. Let me start with the fridge. Just 2 things that I have in the fridge, and that is miso paste and big tub of it. And actually, what was the other thing in the fridge? Miso paste and pickled plums, which I think you can keep at room temperature. You could keep in the pantry, but I like them cold. Let's see. Pickled plums, miso paste, and then in the pantry, I've got all manner of noodles, soba, somen, udon, and then I've also got shoyu, which is like soy sauce, but with, or ponzu rather, which is like soy sauce, but with some sort of citrus added, and I don't know the name of the citrus. It's not a lemon or a lime. It's different. It's Japanese. Let's see, sesame oil, sriracha, kombu, which is great for dashi. I usually make vegetarian dashi, even if I'm using meat in the dish, just because I like bonito flakes, but it's just such a hassle. But it is good too. I also have bonito flakes for proper dashi. And then, let's see, kombu, nori, dried seaweed. Those are both, by the way, great sources of iodine. Both kombu, you soak it in the water, and nori, great sources of iodine, which is sorely lacking in the modern diet, modern Western diet. And then, of course, short grain rice. So all those things you can make a myriad of dishes with, and it's just sort of the foundation for me for like a lot of the things I cook. So, but again, that's just something I like. You just have a strong pantry game. It doesn't have to be Japanese in origin. That's just something that I just naturally gravitated towards when I was teaching myself how to cook. It's just flavors I like, and they last a long time. Oh, and dried shiitake mushrooms. Forgot about that one. But I think that answers everything. So like, share, subscribe, keep asking questions. Bye.